In attendance last week. It's good to see everybody here. How many of you are familiar with the societal term, the third place? A quick Wikipedia search tells us a third place is a social environment distinct from the home, the first place, and workplace or school, the second place, where people gather regularly, voluntarily, and informally. These spaces are societal glue, crucial for community, fostering conversation, and reducing loneliness. The University of Chicago offers some characteristics that define a third place. First, it is neutral ground. People are free to come and go, with no obligation to be there. A second factor, it is a societal or a social leveler. Status, wealth, or social rank do not matter. Everyone is equal. Conversation is key. The primary focus is chatting, socializing, and at times playful joking. It is accessible and welcoming. They are easy to get to, often low cost or free, and welcoming to strangers. And finally, they have a dedicated group of regulars who provide a sense of home. For those of you who remember the television shows Frasier and Friends, it was the coffee shop. For Cheers, it was the bar. Think back to what might have been a third place for you as a child or teen. Perhaps it was the mall, a roller rink, a skate park, an ice cream parlor, or soda shop. The Albert Shanker Institute tells us that third places are essential for building a sense of community, improving well-being, and providing a home away from home. They are vital for social interaction and civic engagement outside the home or work. The problem is that third places have been in steady decline over the past few decades. Is the third place from your childhood still in operation? Is it as popular as it once was? The New York Times credits this decline due to increased car dependency, rising costs of living, and a shift toward digital interactions. In short, there are fewer of them. It costs more time and money to get to them, and many of us would rather sit in front of a screen than put forth the effort to visit them in person. I would like to posit that for many of us, church is our third place. Let's look back at those qualifications. It meets many of them. People are free to come and go. While biblically there is obligation, there is no physical obligation here. Nobody is forcing any of you to be here today. Status, wealth, or social rank do not matter. Everyone here is equal. The primary focus, maybe secondary for us, is chatting, socializing. They are easy to get to, often low cost or free, welcoming to strangers, I would hope so. And they have a dedicated group of regulars who provide a sense of home. The concerns about decline are sobering because in some ways they can fit how we might feel about the church as a whole. There are fewer congregations. It costs more time and money for the church to rent them. It costs more time and money for us to get to them. And it is certainly easier to sit in front of a screen than it is to attend in person. We are quite literally in the early stages of redefining our third place as a local congregation. And we may be finding that redefining a new space is especially difficult when directly comparing to our previous space. Sure, the hall we called home for 5 years wasn't perfect, but it felt like ours. We had learned how to make it work. And applying those tried and true practices to a new building feels like fitting a square peg in a round hole. It's awkward. It's uncomfortable. It's not the same. Turn with me to Numbers 11. Numbers 11:4. We're going to read Numbers 11:4, verse 6. We're roughly a year after the Israelites have been delivered out of Egypt. Numbers 11:4. Now the mixed multitude who were among them yielded to intense cravings. So the children of Israel also wept and said, "Who will give us meat to eat? We remember the fish, which we ate freely in Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic." Oh, the garlic. "But now our whole being is dried up. There is nothing at all except this manna before our eyes." Through the gift of hindsight, we can see that the entire story arc, of the Israelites, and we can determine objectively that the move from captivity in Egypt to freedom in the Promised Land was in their best interests. But roughly a year into the move, the Israelites aren't buying it. God provided exactly what they needed, exactly when they needed it. But in the moment, they couldn't appreciate it because it didn't fit with what they were familiar with. In essence, God knew that they needed a square peg, and all they could see was that it didn't fit in the round hole. How does this relate to us? Well, be prepared that in the next year, it may not feel as comfortable as the last 5 might have felt. We may feel as though we're wandering in the wilderness in more ways than one. This message is no more about leeks and onions than it is about our physical church hall. At its core, this message is about change. Change is difficult because it often forces us to leave what is familiar, what is comfortable. We have grown accustomed to buildings and people fitting nicely into our predefined boundaries. And it can be hard to say goodbye because those experiences have helped to define us in the same way that a building and a group of people defines any third place. But Pentecost reminds us each year that God's church is no longer defined by physical limitations. Turn to Ephesians 2. Ephesians 2:20. We'll finish off the chapter here. I want to read Ephesians 2 through the lens of some other things that we learn in 1st and 2nd Corinthians. We learn first and foremost that we are the temple of God, and the Spirit of God dwells in us. We also know that God will dwell in us, will be our God, and we will be His people. So with that in the forefront, let's read Ephesians 2:20. Jumping into the middle, Jesus Christ Himself being the chief cornerstone, in whom the whole building being fitted together grows into a holy temple in the Lord, in whom you also are being built together for a dwelling place of God in the Spirit. The beauty of God's plan is that it allows the spiritual body to be the third place. And that body is defined neither by buildings nor by borders, where death has no sting, and where neither moth nor rust destroys. Change is inevitable. We control our ability to be adaptable, both on individual levels and as a collective church body. Ultimately, we all must get to a point of acceptance that we are where we are, for better or worse. As an old friend used to say, this too shall pass. And like we can see with the Israelites, we should trust that when looking back in hindsight, we will see that God provided exactly what we needed, exactly when we needed it. Buildings will come and go, and sadly, so will people. The faces and walls that define our physical third place are ever changing. But if we ever find ourselves longing for the leeks and onions, remember that God has moved us onward for a specific purpose, and probably for our own good. Let's be grateful for the experience that we've shared while adapting ourselves to be the spiritual third place, joined and knit together in perfect spiritual unity.